All right, we are live here with the Big Break Podcast. With me here, we have my boy Corey B. To my right, to my bottom is Ethan, and our main man Drew. How are you guys doing today?
Very good.
Excellent.
Very good.
Good. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourself? We're gonna start here with Drew. Go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody.
My name's Drew, born and raised Ohio, Big Ten country, diehard college football fan. Basketball, baseball, sports are life.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Ethan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep. My name's Ethan. Born and raised in the Big OH. I absolutely love sports, top to bottom, all around. Football, basketball, racing, soccer, you name it. I'll probably watch it. Enjoyed the F1 race today.
Nice, nice. Corey, how about you?
Oh, what's up? I'm Corey. I'm born and raised in Ohio, like the rest of us. Cincinnati, I'm a little more south. Obsessed with sports. Love college football. Love college basketball. It's March. It's the best time of the year.
Definitely, I'm your host, Nick D, and I was born right here in the great state of Ohio. Just like these fellows, I'm a sports fanatic as well. Ethan, speaking of soccer, representing the crew here today with my mug. With my
Good.
mug,
Cruise
representing the
missed
crew
day
here
win
today.
yesterday.
Had a great
Yep.
2-0 win. Had a great 2-0 win. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to kick off our first show in a great, great way. And I think the best way to do that is to define the Big Ten culture. What is the Big Ten all about? Because that's what we are. We're the Big Break. We're the Big Ten football and basketball podcast. So let's define what the Big Ten is. I'm gonna start here with Ethan to get your thoughts here on what the Big Ten is.
Oh man, Big Ten is to me the best conference in terms of football. I think it's the one. I mean, we could be a little say we're biased here, but yeah, you've got the SEC. There's usually pretty top heavy. In the Big Ten, it's classic hard nosed football. There's usually going to be a couple teams that buzzsaw through each other. I just love the way the Big Ten does it. Typically, when I think Big Ten, I definitely think about football season and just all the history. Love the trophy games. I mean, it's really just hard to beat Big Ten football in general.
Definitely. Corey, how would you define what the Big Ten culture is?
For me, I think it's really just kind of comes down to just a few things. I mean, like Ethan said, it's energetic, it's power football, it's Midwest football, everything is taken into consideration. The weather's always a factor in certain games. The one thing that I always think of is like grit. We always are gonna grind through every single game, no matter if you're top heavy at the bottom, it doesn't matter. You're always grinding through each game. You always have a couple. There's never just rollover games for any team. They always show up to play. And then the other big thing is like the fan bases. I feel like fan bases are great all across the country, but in Big Ten, it's ruthless. It's everyone hates each other. It's going cutthroat right at each other. And so, I mean, especially growing up in Ohio and around the Big Ten, again, we might be biased since we're all from here, but I mean, I think it is one of the best conferences. We always produce one of the best football teams, one of the best basketball teams, usually every single year, and it's from the Big Ten.
Absolutely. Drew, to Corey's point, we have some of the best fan bases. You and your older brother, I know, travel throughout Big Ten country every year during football season.
Oh yeah.
Speak to that point for us as a personal experiences that you've had traveling throughout the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, this was definitely one of my main points, and Corey touched on it. Rabid fan bases, dude. Like, and great college towns as well. Ann Arbor, phenomenal college town. West Lafayette, Champaign, Madison. These are all great towns. Great fan bases, diehards, which can lead to a little bias, but it's natural. So I also think about when I'm thinking about the Big Ten, I think about prestige. Like a lot of these schools have been around for so long. We got some of the most winning schools and great rivalries as well. So I love the Big Ten.
Absolutely, absolutely. For me, Guys, the Big Ten and the Midwest culture is smash mouth, blue collar, the way to do it. We work. There's no easy way out here for us. That's what we were brought up on. That's how we all grew up, right? There ain't no easy way out. You work for what you got, right? Every and I think that speaks in football and basketball too. In football, you earn every single yard that you get, every single inch. You got to earn it, right? That's what we were always told. For basketball, you earn every single drive. You earn every single possession, defense and offense. You got to earn that, right? And I just think that when you compare that to any other culture that's out there, the South, you could go out to California. It's just a different style. Even our music, like our music artists that we grew up listening to, Jay-Z, Eminem, started at the bottom, now they're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, that is what the culture is. We start at the bottom and we grind our way up to the top. So, with that being said, I think that defines the Big Ten very, very well. We had a great basketball season. Did we not here in the Big Ten, fellas?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What were
Very
some
competitive.
very competitive year? Very competitive. I mean, we saw
Hmm.
Indiana beat Purdue twice, and we thought Purdue might have been untouchable at a point, right? Um, what what in the best way could you recap this season? Let's go here with Corey. Corey, recap this season the best way you know how.
For me, the Big Ten season was kind of a grind. You had obviously a couple teams at the beginning of the year that you knew were going to be good, you thought were going to be good. One of them, that being Purdue, panned out to be good. A few teams that maybe had some question marks you weren't really too sure about ended up being good, like Rutgers, and a couple other teams like that. So it was kind of a mix this year. But like I said before, usually in the Big Ten, we've got a couple teams that are normally right there. And I think Purdue, Indiana, maybe even Penn State, Northwestern, all of those teams could make a run. It was just a really great year in the Big Ten. It was competitive all around.
Absolutely. Drew, how would you recap this season?
Uh, well, fun to start. It was definitely fun. A lot of surprises, like Northwestern, Maryland, definitely some surprises. Uh, Purdue, yeah, Purdue looked like top dog all year. And it's funny because we talked about it maybe a month ago about how great Purdue is. And over this last month, it's been a different Purdue team. But it's been fun, man. I think like the majority of the conference is very solid. And it wouldn't surprise me if one or two of these teams made to the Final Four.
I like to hear that. Ethan, how do you recap this season?
I'm gonna go same but different. I'm gonna use the word chaos. I think that yes, Purdue has been the quote unquote class of the field, but they're also very vulnerable. If you go down and look through the standings, the top 10 teams or so, if not worse, 80% of their losses in total came in the conference play. So they're just beating and banging off each other. Uh, I definitely think that you're going to see a good 7, 8 teams in the tournament as a whole. And they're going to be dangerous. There's teams that you're going to see win games that you weren't expecting come a couple weeks from now.
Definitely. Now, okay, quick question for you guys. Um, is this the year the Big Ten breaks the streak of not winning a national title in basketball? Could this be the year? Corey, is this the
Mm,
year?
I don't think so. I just don't. I mean, I would have at about 2 weeks ago, I would have said probably because I think Purdue is a Final Four contender, and I still think they are. I don't know that I trust them, especially looking at them how they're going into March, not playing their best ball. They have really good guard play, and that's what wins in March, and they have a really good center. But if they're not hitting shots and they're really cold right now, they're not on the way. I think they're the best hope too.
Ethan, is this the year for the Big Ten?
No, and I don't. I would be surprised if any of the Big Ten teams made it out of the Sweet 16.
Woo.
A little cold right now. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. You look at Indiana, Maryland, Purdue. I think that they're going to be the better shots, definitely with Purdue. The guards are young. Edie is strong down low, but if you take Edie out of the game, Purdue has nothing. I mean, I know everybody's got their one or two guys, but that's a huge selling point of that Purdue offense. So, uh, yeah, I would say ultimately I would be surprised if any of the Big Ten teams made it out of the Sweet 16 this year.
Ooh, so you don't even think they're going to make it out of the Sweet 16? Okay, okay. We'll check back next week with you though, when once we're in the tournaments underway. Drew, you said one or two are going to make the Final Four. Is this the year?
Yeah, dude. I just think this year's kind of wide open. Like there's not really a top dog, is there? But like the Big Ten, like Indiana, if they can get hot, they can win 4 or 5 games. Illinois, I think, is a little underrated. Um, Purdue, obviously, if they can shoot well, then they're always a danger. But as far as winning a national title, I don't know. I can't say that,
Oof.
but it's too tough.
I understand. Nobody's willing to risk it all. Nobody's willing to
Mm-mm.
die on that hill. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it, guys. Um,
Oh,
which
First episode, you call a prediction like that?
yeah,
I don't know, dude.
way to start it off though. All right. Which team had the best win all season in your guys' mind here? Corey, I'm gonna go to you for that first. Which team had the best win?
For me, it was kind of close. There were a couple really good wins. I thought Purdue over Gonzaga early in the year was a really good win,
Absolutely.
especially since Gonzaga is always a top 10 team, it seems like, and is always a national contender. But I think the best win was in conference. I think Indiana going to Purdue and beating them on their home floor was the best win in conference for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ethan, what was the best win for you all season?
I'm also going to stay in the conference here, and I'm going to take Rutgers at home over Indiana, number 10 at the time, beat them by a 15 ball in Rutgers in December still, but that's probably my best win right now.
I like it. I like it. Drew, what was your best win?
I'm kind of gonna cheat and lean with Corey here, but I'm gonna include both Indiana wins over Purdue. Like just big, dude.
Hey,
Plus, I love that rivalry. So
it's a great rival. It's one of the
yeah.
best in college basketball, really. Um, I got something different for you guys, and I'm gonna throw this out here. The best win I saw all year was Iowa coming back against Michigan State and beating them in overtime, just like a couple weeks ago. I mean,
That's fair.
they were down like 15 with like 2 minutes to go. Come back, tie the game with hitting like I think that one kid hit four ridiculous threes inside of a minute to tie it or something like that. It was just crazy. It was just a crazy game, and I think that was one of the best wins I've seen all year. Um,
It's a great game. Great game.
oh yeah, it was a phenomenal game. I mean, the announcer goes, "People have left, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Iowa just took the lead." And it was just like, yeah, I just love those real moments you get out of like the announcers in those situations too. So it added to the entire like craziness of what was happening. Nobody expected that game to be going into overtime. Um,
No.
Drew, what was the worst loss of the season for you?
Uh, jeez, dude. Um, I don't know. Maybe. Sorry, hold on.
No worries, Ethan. Either go ahead if you got one.
Yeah.
I got one here. Found it this morning when I was going over my notes last minute. Iowa losing to Eastern Illinois, who's right now 9-22. Uh,
Oof.
yeah, and that same team uh, took a 20-point L to NIU, a 17-point L to Ball State, and week one, game one, took a 30 ball to Illinois, who beat Iowa by two. So I'm going to say Eastern Illinois.
I like that. Eastern Illinois over Iowa. Corey, what was your worst loss of the season in the any Big Ten team?
I had two actually. I think the one that really kind of stands out was early in the year was Central Michigan beating Michigan. That was just kind of not something you would expect to happen. And then I think it was a couple days ago, we had Rutgers lose to Minnesota. Minnesota has 8 wins. Rutgers is supposedly a tournament team, and they get beat by
Yeah.
an 8-win team in the Big Ten. That's not okay.
Yep.
I like all those. Drew?
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say the Central Michigan over Michigan because uh BG lost to Central Michigan, and BG is not good.
No,
So,
I agree. It's not good.
and also Minnesota beat Central Michigan. So,
Ooh,
Ooh,
damn, Blue, that's a tough loss.
that is
Minnie's
a
only
tough
got,
loss.
yeah, that's rough.
I got 18 bad losses on the season, and all 18 are Ohio State. That team, they had such a good recruiting class, and then they come out and play like absolute poop.
Oh,
You
well,
know, the
15 of those
number,
were in conference.
yeah, the 15 and then the 3 out, all 18 of them are bad, in my
They lost to
opinion.
Duke and North Carolina. That's rough.
Which Big Ten team overachieved to you guys this year? One team that you were like, this team right here shouldn't have been here, and they are. Let's go. Let's start with Ethan on that.
I'm gonna say it's obvious. Northwestern is the obvious answer there. I'm gonna go runner-up Maryland. I know Maryland's usually up there in that 20-10 record zone, but I think Maryland's a little more dangerous than they lead on. Granted, they're not a road team. They're at 16-1 at home, 8 losses on the road, but yeah, Northwestern far and away for me with nods to Maryland.
Definitely. Corey, who was your overachiever this year?
I also chose Northwestern. I think like that was just kind of no one really saw them, thought of them to be where they're at. So for me, it was Northwestern.
Agreed. Drew, Northwestern, I take it.
Northwestern with a shout out to Maryland.
I like it. I like it. So
Yep.
consensus there. It's all Northwestern. And I can't disagree there. I would have never thought their basketball team would be 20, but to be a 20-win team. Um, I think this also may be a consensus on who underachieved this year. While we're talking overachievers, let's talk the underachievers. Let's just go on and throw it. I'm gonna say my underachiever is Ohio State. With the talent that they have, that's just unacceptable in Columbus.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I mean, I
Agreed.
agree. Yeah, you could even give special honors to Michigan. They were still supposed to be strong. I mean, they were still supposed to be one of the classes of the conference, and they really haven't shown it.
No
But
worries.
Ohio State, far and away.
Everybody agree Ohio State on that manner?
Agreed. Yeah. I also
Yeah,
think Michigan.
I'd Michigan and Ohio
Okay.
State both.
Okay.
Just because Michigan returned a bunch of starters, had players that played last year, should have been a 20 to 25 win team, and are fighting to get to 20 wins.
Definitely. The Big Ten tournament starts this week on Monday, I believe. Let's just real quick, we're gonna start. Who is your winner of the Big Ten tournament? Ethan, your winner of the Big Ten tournament.
I'm gonna go Indiana. I like what Indiana. They got that kryptonite on Purdue.
Hoosiers. All right, Corey, who's your winner?
I'm going Purdue. I just think they'll put it together for a short run, and if they play Indiana again, I think they'll beat them. I don't think it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a year.
I like it. Boiler up, Drew.
Yeah, I think I'm also gonna go Purdue, but I got Purdue over Illinois.
If you could choose one Cinderella team to make a splash in the Big Ten tournament, who would it be, Drew?
Who would I want?
Yeah.
Rutgers, baby.
All right, Ethan.
I don't know again if you'd call it Cinderella, but Maryland. Let's go Terps.
Corey.
I'm going true Cinderella. I think it would be crazy if Michigan or Ohio State made a run.
I like it. All right, guys. We did have some Big Ten awards. I'm going to start with Corey. Please just go over your Big Ten awards here, and why you chose them.
Sure. So, obviously we did MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach, and Freshman of the Year. My MVP was Zach Edey. I don't think there's really any question marks about it. Average basically a double double every game, rebounds and points. He was unbelievable defensively. Obviously, it helps when you're like 7-3,
Right.
but I think he just was the most dominant player in the league. And I mean, he every single night, whether they won or they lost, he was still doing what he was doing. So he was my MVP. Defensive Player of the Year, although I had Zach Edey in that, I went with Trace Jackson Davis of IU. Just blocks, steals, kind of came out of nowhere for me. When I watch Indiana, he jumps off the screen, obviously offensively, but when you see him defensively, he can guard all the positions, and he just insane down low. Coach of the Year, I went with Matt Painter. I think it's kind of obvious. Purdue has 5 losses on the year. I mean, they're projected potentially a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. I think he's the Coach of the Year. And then Freshman of the Year, I went with Bryce Sensabaugh from Ohio State. Although Ohio State didn't have a good year, he was putting up numbers, still kind of kept them in games when they probably shouldn't have been. And so I think that he kind of gets the nod over a few others for Freshman of the Year.
Absolutely. All right. We're gonna go here with Drew's awards. Go ahead here with your awards, Drew.
All right. MVP is pretty easy, right? Zach Edey. Um, I think he's probably going to win the National Player of the Year. So he's the obvious MVP. With a shout out to Jalen Pickett, my favorite guard in the conference. Defensive Player of the Year, I also went with Edey. With Trace Jackson, a nice second. Coach of the Year, I went Chris Collins for overachieving with Northwestern. A little shout out to Matt Painter and Kevin Willard as well out at Maryland. And then Freshman of the Year, Bryce Sensabaugh out of Ohio State. I think he's the only shining spot on that whole team.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Ethan, go ahead here with yours.
Yep, I'm gonna keep it going. MVP Zach Edey. Dude shows up day in and day out. I actually had a whole little sheet of notebook paper comparing Edey and Trace Jackson Davis. I back and forth. But you look at 20 and 20 games, 20 and 10 games, 15 games. Really, the only thing TJD beat him on. He had one triple double, but
Oh,
Zach
wow.
Edey far and away. DPOI defensive player Zach Edey also. He's far and away the reason Purdue's where they are. Coach of the Year Painter, with a shout out to Chris Collins and Northwestern for the job that he did this year. And I'm going to give my Freshman of the Year also to Bryce Sensabaugh from Ohio State, averaging 16 and 5. Was the bright spot for that Buckeye squad this year.
Definitely. So we also did first team All Big Ten to everybody. First team All Big Ten. Ethan chose Jalen Pickett, Bowie, Trace Jackson, Chris Murray, and Zach Edey from Purdue. All very solid picks. Everybody. Drew, I'm gonna pop Drew's up here, run through his real quick. His first team All Big Ten: Jalen Pickett, Jameer Young, Chris Murray, Trace Jackson, Zach Edey. And then here we have Corey's: Jalen Pickett, Bowie, Chris Murray, Trace Jackson Davis, and Zach Edey. I mean, it was like 6 guys, right, total that were picked.
I do want to say I didn't want to run a giant lineup, but I would have had Hunter Dickinson in there out of Michigan.
Oh,
but then that lineup would be too big.
Hey, you could have ran with a big lineup. It's up to
Yep.
you. It's yours.
Too slow.
Too slow on that. I like it though.
Gotta
But I mean,
run.
like, guys, there was like a total of maybe 6 or 7 players that could have made the All Big Ten roster this year, right? So I think we were all inconsistent with that, just as well as we will definitely see when the awards are announced that, there was 5 or 6 guys, right, or 6 or 7 guys. Now we're gonna go to our last last bit here for the show, which is going to be our Big Ten athlete shout out of the week. This year, Corey got to choose his Big Ten athlete to shout out. So, Corey, I'm going to let you take it off with your Big Ten athlete of the week.
So obviously in the Big Ten, there's a lot of choices, a lot of different names you could go through. I'm going to go to the women's side of college basketball, and I'm going to choose the point guard, Caitlin Clark from Iowa. Kind of fun facts about her. I did a lot of research on her. She's always on ESPN they're talking about her because she's one of the best players, potentially could be the best player in women's college basketball. She's from Des Moines, Iowa, so she stayed home. She's a point guard. She over her career, she averages 27 a game, 6 rebounds and 8 assists for her career. She's also the second player ever in the Big Ten to have 2,000 points, over 550 assists, over 100 steals, and 40 blocks. And she also has 9 career triple doubles, which is the most in Big Ten history.
Man,
Wow.
what a player she is. I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. There you guys have it. That is our first episode here of the Big Break. We will be live typically every Sunday. Here during football season, we're gonna bring a lot of content to you guys during football season. We're gonna have a midweek show on Wednesdays where we break down that upcoming week's games and everything. We're gonna have a Saturday morning segment where Corey and I are gonna get on and we're gonna go just talk basically like college game day style, right? We're just gonna BS the entire time. Come join us for the conversation before you tune into game day. Ethan and Drew, I know they are on the road during that time, so we are definitely gonna get them in for where they are at that week, and we'll make that our quote unquote game of the week, right? So we'll go to live to Drew and Ethan at that venue as well. So just stick around for us, guys. We can't wait to bring you all the great content we have planned for you here in the future. Um, but there you guys have it. That is our first show here at the Big Break Podcast. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark, the Big Ten Athlete of the Week from the Big Break. Anything else? Final thoughts, fellas? Anything else from you guys?
Nope.
No. It's conference tournament week.
Yeah.
Let's get these teams going. Let's get this,
Yeah,
especially the
dude.
Big Ten. Good luck to all the teams playing in every conference, but more so the Big Ten. Let's see something a little out of the ordinary.
Absolutely, guys. And as Drew infected me with and Ethan with, it's time we infect Corey with it too. It's tourney fever time, guys.
Ernie fever. It's contagious.
It's
I'm feeling
contagious.
it.
Be
Getting
with
warm.
be with us next week. We may do a little later episode next week, so it may not be at noon. It may be later at like 6. Have a great rest of your day, guys.